Hey guys, welcome to day 7 of the 30 Day for Greatness challenge. And before we get to that video, if you don't know me, my name is Crystal and I am your coach. And so today I just want to inspire you. Day 7 is not actually a day for a challenge. And guys, I understand that we all have bad days. We have all false starts, times when we're ready to throw in the towel and scream that it's not worth it. Okay. And usually when we reach this point, we've gotten to it through stress, anger, or injustice at something that has happened beyond our ability to control. And so, whatever the reason, we end up feeling stressed, wondering just what's the point in going on. Okay, and I feel you guys, and I want just to be a friend to you, not just a coach who tells you what to do and how to do things. I want to empathize and encourage you and inspire you to keep going. Um, you know, I understand that in times like this that we tend to look up at the celebrities, the people who walk the red carpet, who have the glamorous lives as though they are a different species as justification for why we've failed. After all, they're they are just someone who was destined from birth to be popular or famous, wealthy, and quite untouchable. If you're born to greatness or maybe just incredibly lucky, then how could we possibly ever think to compete? Would it surprise you to know that some of these demigods went through extreme conditions before achieving success? Sometimes, even when they seem to be at the pinnacle of success, life throw things at them that they have to overcome before rising above it. People who succeed are people who try, who work hard, people who don't or didn't give up. So rather than looking at the rich and famous as a different species, consider that there are lessons you can learn from studying their lives. I will be sharing um, just two stories. I was thinking more than that, but I don't want this video to be long. That will hopefully inspire you. And here I will give example of people who have been wildly successful. Why? Why they are successful? Because they never gave up. So that first person is Sean Corey Carter. And if you don't recognize the name, he is Jay-Z. And Carter is an example of someone who started on the wrong side of the tracks and was making all the wrong choices. Um, to help make ends meet, he sold cracks on the side. He was poor, and he was rejected many times in terms of his music. And then he at a very young age he made his music and he began selling CDs out of the trunk of his car, and when no label wanted him, he created his own. Then his best friend died. He was devastated. JC found a passion for music, and he then used it to raise himself out of a life of violence and crime. When stopped along the way, he found a way to keep going. when he hit a dead end, he created his solution. Jay-Z is a proof positive that you don't have to start with a silver spoon in your mouth to make it big. Even if you've made bad choices in the past, that doesn't mean you can start making some right decisions now and in the future. You can succeed despite of what may seem some terrible and very long odds. And the second one that I want to share with you is J.K. Rowling. Guys, 20 years ago, you never heard of her, thought her creation. On the other hand, you might have if you had kids who like to read. Life wasn't easy for the award-winning author. At age 17, she was living with her mother who had multiple sclerosis, MS, and her somewhat estranged father who rarely spoke to his daughter. She applied for entrance to Oxford but failed to be accepted. Then she started writing in secret, the Harry Potter whenever she had a free moment. But shortly after, her mother died from MS, and she moved to Portugal to teach English. There, she met a man, and she got married, got pregnant with her first child, a girl. Her marriage was not a happy one. Eventually, the stress of living in that abusive marriage became enough to drive her away. For a long time, she remembers living in absolute poverty. Not quite homeless, but not much better than that. So she later recalled that she considered herself a failure. She was divorced, a single mother, and Harry Potter merely 3 chapters along. She was diagnosed with clinical depression and suicidal tendencies. It took another 2 years for her to finish Harry Potter. She tried to then sell the book for the next year but failed to find a buyer. With all 12 major publishers rejected her. But thankfully, she persisted. In fighting to finish the book, she also found herself. From there, success followed. By 2004, J.K. Rowling was the first person to become a billionaire through writing books. J.K. Rowling is considered today one of the most successful people in the entire world. But none of that would have happened if she'd allowed herself to be derailed back when she'd married badly and lost who she was. Like many abused women before her, she'd come to believe the negative messages about herself to the point where she wanted to give up entirely. Depressed and suicidal, how many other women's stories tragically end there. But you know, J.K. Rowling fought to get free of both her past and the mental illness that tried too hard to claim her. So, guys, while the significant grand stories are exciting to read or watch, it's always interesting to find out how people got to where they are today. There are some important things to remember from tales like this. Not everyone starts in the same place. Sure, it may be easier to take risks and do great things when you come from an upper middle class background, but no one knows what goes on in a person's life. You cannot see all the scars. We all have our hurdles to cross, some more than others. But that doesn't have to stop us from making our big dreams happen. Everyone has or had setbacks outside of their control. whether it was being born poor into a dysfunctional or even abusive family, or into an era or place where talent was not appreciated enough. If you want something badly enough, if you have the passion of these now famous people, you too can make big things happen. So guys, how many times should we be willing to fall on our face before we give up? Just think back to the stories outlined earlier. If any one of these people had given up one setback before, we wouldn't know who they were. None of these people gave up. And did you notice that in many of those stories, once the subject knew what they wanted to do, their lives got harder, not easier. But rather than give up because they were at a disadvantage or because they'd failed one too many times, they kept going. We all have a small, still voice inside of us. The great people whose stories I've told here heard that voice and took action on it. They could have focused on the hard road they'd had, but they didn't. They looked inside themselves and trusted that they had what it took to make their dream come true. They had no reason to believe in most cases. Many of them had no one who believed in them, but because they listened to their intuitions and trusted it, they are the people we look up to today. Whatever setback you're facing, remember these simple truths. Wherever your starting point is, it doesn't matter. Whatever your past, it's merely that, your past. It's your future that counts. You can change your environment and overcome some setbacks that are within your control. No, you can fix the economy of the world around you, or maybe not even your zip code right now, but you can change how you view your world. Look for the opportunities. Think outside the box. Figure out what you can change and then go about changing it. Focus on what you are grateful for, not what you don't have yet. You won't be able to keep on going if you concentrate on the things you lack and others have. Never, ever, ever give up. We all have a purpose for being here. Once you know what yours is, give everything you've got to it. There are many more stories that what I've told above waiting out there. Every day millions of people do inspirational things. Maybe not as big and grand as some of the things that I've shared today, but things that impact the lives of those around them. You can be one of those successes and you might already be someone's hero. It's just a matter of going out there and showing the world who you are. You know, guys, I believe in you and I believe in your dreams. Be blessed.